Hello everyone, welcome to aplusbi. This channel is all about complex numbers, and in this video we're going to be solving a sum, or we're going to be summing some expressions, okay? We have 1 minus I over 1 plus I to the second power, and then the same thing to the third power, and then the same thing to the fourth power. So we're going to be adding the second, third, and fourth power of the same thing. So one method that I'm going to show you is something that you probably wouldn't use, but I'm still going to show you. You also need to know which methods not to follow, because that might be helpful at some point. So, what would you not be doing for a problem like this? Let me show you. First of all, we're going to square the top and the bottom here. So I'm going to write it as this. And then I'm going to write this as this. And then the next one the same way. 1 plus I to the third, and then 1 minus I to the fourth, divided by 1 plus I to the fourth, okay? Now, what wouldn't you do for a problem like this? Making a common denominator. Why? Because there's better ways to do it. But if you were doing it, you would multiply this by 1 plus I squared, this by 1 plus I, and this by 1. So then you would have 1 minus I squared times 1 plus I squared in the numerator, and then you would have 1 minus I cubed times 1 plus I, and then you would have 1 minus I to the fourth power, and then all of that would be divided by 1 plus I to the fourth power, which is the common denominator, right? And where do you go from here? Simplify, simplify, simplify. A lot of work, kind of cumbersome, time-consuming. There's no need to do this, okay? So there are better ways to do it. Okay, maybe one method we can talk about is, let's say this is the first method, and don't use it, okay? I mean, if you want to use it, that's fine, but that's going to take too long. Maybe take it from here, and instead of making a common denominator, simplify each one. Because we can easily find 1 minus I squared, right? What is 1 minus I squared? Let's talk about it. It's 1 squared plus I squared minus 2I. I squared is negative 1, so these two are going to cancel out, leaving us with negative 2I. And if you do the same thing with 1 plus I squared, you should get 1 squared plus I squared plus 2I, which is 2I. You should know these things by heart, memorize it, because when you get a problem like 1 plus I to the power 2025, next year, right? Hopefully. And this is perfect square, by the way. This will be helpful. This will come in handy, because you know that second power of 1 plus I is imaginary, and the rest is easy. Kind of, okay? So, what else can we do? We can definitely go off of these. So I can find these easily. Negative 2I divided by 2I. That should give me what? Negative I, or negative 1, right? And then just go from there. And continue to build. So that could be one way to do it. You can simplify each one of these. For example, how would you find 1 minus I to the third power? If you know 1 minus I to the second power is crazy stuff, I don't know. If you know that 1 minus I squared is negative 2I, how would you find this? You would just multiply 1 minus I squared by 1 minus I, and that will do the trick. You know that this is negative 2I, and just distribute the other one over, and you'll get the answer. Make sense? Okay, you could build like this, but even this will take a while to do. Another way to approach this, which I believe is my favorite, is try to simplify this, because it keeps repeating. So whenever you have the same thing over and over, I think you should just evaluate it first. You can even call it x if you want. I mean, no big deal, because if you do that, let's say, not x, but maybe z, makes more sense for this channel, right? Is this aplusbi? I guess, because I have another channel called Cyber Math. If you are interested in algebra and number theory problems, a little bit of geometry maybe, you can go ahead and check it out. Anyways, I also publish shorts. So now I'm also planning some other channels, but I couldn't find time to plan those out. So let's call this z, and the problem is basically asking us to find z squared plus z cubed plus z to the fourth power. So you might want to factor out z squared and write this as 1 plus z squared. I don't know if that's going to be helpful. And then you can just evaluate these. Or there's even a better way. Can we simplify z? How do you simplify z? Let's go ahead and take a look at it. That's going to be our main approach for this problem. And if you do know of any other methods, please let us know in the comment section down below. And if I come up with any other ideas, I'll try to let you know during the video. So let's simplify z. How can we simplify something like this? How do you divide complex numbers? By the way, speaking of dividing complex numbers, if you're new to complex numbers, go ahead and check out my lecture videos. I go over the basics of complex numbers in 9 videos. And if you have any questions, always let us know. I'm pretty sure somebody will be able to answer those. And I try to check comments too as much as possible. Now, to simplify this, basically we need to divide two complex numbers. You can't just divide complex numbers like integers. Let's say you're trying to divide 3 into 12. 3 goes into 12 4 times, we're done. Remainder is 0. It's not that easy, right? How many times does 1 plus I go into 1 minus I? I don't know. So because we can't divide directly, we can do it in 2 ways. Again, I'm going to show you division can be done in 2 ways. So a little bit of lecturing here. You can set it equal to a plus bi because that's an unknown complex number. By the way, it's also the name of this channel. And then cross multiply. That'll give you 1 plus I times a plus bi equals 1 minus I. And then from here, after distributing, you'll get a plus bi plus ai plus bi squared. Never ever forget, I squared is always -1. That's how, okay, calm down. I squared is -1 is very important because that's how I is defined. You can also define it as the principal square root of -1 because -1 has 2 square roots, right? Every complex number except for 0 has 2 square roots. So I squared is -1, so bi squared is minus b, and this equals 1 minus I. Now let's go ahead and put this together. A minus b plus a plus b, that's going to be our imaginary part. And real parts equal real parts, imaginary parts equal imaginary parts, right? So this needs to be 1 and this needs to be -1. Let's go ahead and solve it as a system. This is going to be fun. So we're reviewing a lot of concepts from algebra. Now you add these equations up, you get 2a equals 0, which means a equals 0. Awesome. If a is 0, b is -1, right? Plug it in. And our number was a plus bi. What was our number? 1 minus I divided by 1 plus I was equal to this, but a is 0, so this is going to be -I. Did you not know that? You probably did, but even if you didn't, you could still find it like this. You could take this and multiply by the conjugate. Conjugate of 1 plus I is 1 minus I. In the numerator, you get 1 minus I squared. Remember, we talked about it. It's -2i. And at the bottom, you get sum of 2 squares. 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. 2's cancel out. We end up with -I, which is what we just found. Okay, there's obviously other ways to go about it. You can write this as 1 minus I over 1 plus I can be written like I squared is -1, so this will be -I squared minus I, right? Divided by 1 plus I. And then you can factor out -I. That'll give you I plus 1 divided by 1 plus I. 1 plus I is going to cancel out. You're going to end up with -I again. There's so many ways to approach it. I would say the conjugate is the best one. In my opinion, I could be wrong, and let us know what you think. Okay? So now we know that this equals I, and now we're going to find I squared plus I cubed plus I to the 4th. That will be a piece of cake, right? Now, because we got the z, right, the a plus bi, and notice that we're being asked to add second, third, and fourth powers, and that's going to be this one. I squared is -1, I cubed is -I to the 4th is 1. You should know the powers of I. They kind of cycle, and mod 4, and these two cancel out, leaving us with -I, which is actually what we started with. You can also write the answer as 1 minus I over 1 plus I, in case this is a multiple choice question and they only gave you that. And this brings us to the end of this video. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. I'll see you next time with another video. Until then, be safe, take care, and don't forget to watch Cyber Math. And bye-bye.